Here's a review of the Adidas men's HVC wrestling shoe. I recently started taking boxing lessons, so I needed a light and flexible shoe because my running shoes weren't cutting it. The heels were too big and they'd slip around too much on the mats. My coach recommended me wrestling shoes or boxing shoes, and I went with these ones because I really liked the looks of them. And I read a few of the reviews and they said they use them for boxing as well with no problems. As you can see, these things are extremely flexible and they're very, very lightweight. One thing I really like about them is that they're relatively flat shoes. As far as like running shoes usually have the big heel on them and kind of lift you up a little bit, these stay flat to the ground, which is great for something like boxing where you need to stay on your toes a lot more. They have great ankle support as well because they tie all the way up to the top of the shoe. They also have this elastic ankle strap, which you can make loose or tight depending on how tight you want to be strapped in these shoes. They do have a nice feel to them as well because you got that synthetic suede running all the way around the back right here. You got that synthetic leather all around this little front area, and then you got the mesh all the way on the side of the ankle down into the toe area. Now, there is a negative that I have to mention. I have a relatively wider foot. Not so wide that when you see it, you're like, wow, that's a wide foot, but I have trouble getting into tighter shoes like Nike, but I still can wear them just fine. This shoe is super narrow. Now, a few people recommended getting a larger size. I am a size 9 in most shoes, so I got a 9, and my toe goes right to the seam where it should in like a normal shoe. Problem is that it kind of sticks out the side, and I have to widen this all the way out. As you can see here, my foot is bulging out the sides and it kind of feels top heavy to the point where I'm oversizing the bottom sole of the shoe. Kind of like I'm balancing on the small sole with my big foot. Now I wanted to try a larger size because I heard that's what some people were doing. But the problem is like I said, my toes are in a good spot. If I went any bigger, I'm going to have like a longer elf type shoe on because the length is great. It's just the width is very narrow. It's a very nice and lightweight shoe, just runs a bit narrow. So if you are going to give them a go and you have a wider foot like I do, you're going to have to get at least a size up just to compensate for that very narrow feel to it. But if you have a regular size foot or a more narrow foot, these are going to fit you great and they're a really cool shoe.